لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أسى محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Allah yabarak feek for every single one of you who's tuned in, taking the time out to watch your brother Haji. Those who have subscribed, who haven't subscribed, and those who haven't subscribed, I'm sure after this video you will be subscribing bi-idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So like, share and subscribe, and also click on the bell notification. Now, I have been focusing on my Athari Creed series, which I think I've recorded about 6 or 7 parts, so I hope you're enjoying that particular series and content. And as I have mentioned in the past, and I think it's important for me to stress that I want to move to more academic content. But I would also add as a disclaimer that I'm not going to allow these pseudo-Salafis to go reckless and start fooling and misguiding the sincere Muslims with their toxic, intolerant methodology. That man announced that he was going to go seek knowledge and he's going to stay away from Dawah or for a while until he gains more knowledge and stop teaching. I had a little moment. I was like, wow, bit teary. I was like, subhanAllah, he's finally realized after all the distortions and misquotations we pulled him up on. You can watch this video. I think the card's up there, the compilation. I had this video. I said, you know what, I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for him, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him beneficial knowledge where he can benefit the people, because he's got a massive platform, right? But then, lo and behold, the Badr Club came along and he was trying to scam people £330 in this climate. I was like, oh my, he's, showing this persona that, I need to study and, I'm going to stop giving da'wah. And 2 weeks later, or if under 2 weeks, he announces the Badr Club talking about Operation Second Wife and Operation Six Figures when the man's in debt and, scrounging for 40,000 for a studio, but yeah, you got 6 figures, mate. You got 6 figures in your bank account, but yet you're in debt. And obviously he always has that Bill Gates looking character, what's that, Abu Bakr, the Muppet. Now just remember, this ain't the first time he has tried to profit using the deen of Islam. This is what he's been doing since the get-go, to be honest. And as you can see on screen, we've got a video I recorded 2 years ago, in fact, called "Why Don't the Salafis Refute Dawah Man?" And that's a good question. I'm still wondering why they don't. Dawah man or businessman? And I've got the pound, the euro, the dollar, and the yen, and with the question mark. So what happened in that video? Here's the card. You could go watch it when you get the time. He was selling a course about bid'ah. They've substitute, like the forefather of ISIS, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, was a takfiri bandit, right? And this is where, the Najdiyya or the Salafiyya Dawah take their inspiration from. But what they've done is they've now watered down this, this Salafi Dawah, as they call it. And now there's pockets or elements of chain tabdi', and the Madakhila are known for that. Even these Halabites are known for that. So they've sort of substituted it. So they've kind of mellowed it down. They follow a classic methodology, but now they're focusing on bid'ah. So what he done was, he was quoting weak ahadith to promote his course of bid'ah. So what happened was, I did that video, and he obviously didn't like it. It was during COVID times, and he obviously got wind of it. He acts like I don't exist. He was the first one to make a video against me when I didn't mention him at all. But he wants to act like I don't exist, but yeah, it takes parts out when I expose his distortions, accusing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam of shirk and other things as well. Then his brother, the ignoramus, when he was reading an article from a scholar, he thought the words of the scholar was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was up for 7 months, right? And no one pulled him up on it. And when I told him, he got rid of it and he put it. Subhanallah. So what I'm gonna do is play a video for you, and I'm gonna come back to it. It's about 3 minutes, but I'm gonna cut it and then respond accordingly. So have a watch.
The second thing that I mentioned, which was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept their tawbah, right? What does this mean? They want a narration that backs this up. Again, I'll bring you a narration from the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari and the Sahih of Imam Muslim, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talked about the people of innovation, He said, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهَمْ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, the people of innovation, they leave through the religion the way that the arrow goes through the bow. Pay attention. If you fire a bow through an arrow, so you fire an arrow for a bow, what happens to that arrow? What happens?
It goes through the air. What do you mean?
And it doesn't come back. Yes or no?
No, it doesn't come back.
Does it come back by itself?
No.
No. The Prophet ﷺ said, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ, they go through the religion, كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهَمْ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ ثُمَّ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ إِلَيْهِ حَتَّى يَرْجِعُ السَّهَمْ عَلَى فَوْقِهِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, or كما قال, that they go through the religion the way that arrow goes to the bow, and they will not come back to the religion. Look what the Prophet said. They will not
Come back.
come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion until the arrow comes back to the bow by itself. Can the arrow come back to the bow by itself?
No.
Highly unlikely, which means it's highly unlikely for them to make tawbah. So then that narration which I mentioned, it has a meaning that's backed up in this.
They will not come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion. Let's do this again.
They will not
Come back.
come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion. They will not come back to the religion.
That was a little funny clip that I just had to make separate. So, first of all, what he did, he quoted the hadith, and anyone who has studied would know that this hadith was referring to a particular group. Okay, we're going to get to the sharh, and he carries on as well, but I'm going to show you how he distorts the statement of a imam from the tabi'een, from Imam Salaf, Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani. So I'm misquoting anything. I'm going to go through it in parts. So what did he say? He said the people of innovation. You notice he generalized it. The mubtadi'ah, or the mubtadi'un, that the people of innovation, the people of innovation. So he's using this hadith, okay, to connect all the innovators, or all the groups that were upon innovation, to this hadith. And that is utterly false. And it's a misrepresentation, and it's an interpolation. So what I'll do first is set a base, okay, set a foundation, and then work up, and you will see his distortion clear as night and day. Now, come back to the religion. I've got Fathul Bari, okay, by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. So this hadith has various variations. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on what he mentioned, that portion of the hadith that he mentioned, okay, and he got the people of innovation. But when I go into the sharh, and then I'll show you other distortion, just be patient with me, alright? It's all going to be connected together. So he says, قال علي. So Ali, رضي الله عنه, سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So Ali رضي عنه heard the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم say that at the end of time they will be foolish youths, and they would say the best of statements. And then when the arrow's over, he said يمرقون من الإسلام كما يمرق السهم من الرمية. So he says Islami in this variation, okay? The hadith of Ali رضي عنه. 5058, the hadith underneath, this is narrated by Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, and he mentions أنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, and he mentions the hadith. And then when the arrow's over, he mentions يمرقون من الدين كما يمرق الصحم من الرمية. Same. So that's the hadith that he quoted, okay? The one he quoted. يمرقون من الدين كما يمرق الصحم من الرمية. So Ibn Hajar's commenting now. So he says in this bab there's 3 ahadith, and he says the first of them, hadith Ali في ذكر الخوارج, that the hadith of Ali رضي الله عنه in mentioning the Khawarij. So this hadith is not mentioning all of Ahlul Bid'ah. It's emphasizing on the Khawarij, okay? And Dawah mentioned that the people of innovation. So he did not mention that this hadith was specific to the Khawarij, okay? And I will show you later on when he tries to distort the statement of the Salaf, because they treat it as gospel, they treat it as revelation, and you'll see it later. So the second hadith now, he mentions the second hadith, the hadith of Abi Salama and Abi Sa'id, the one that I mentioned, في ذكر الخوارج أيضا. This is mentioning the Khawarij, specifically the Khawarij. But just to add, with the sort of usul of the Khawarij and their mafhum of Iman, their understanding of Iman, there were other innovated groups that held or carried a certain characteristic of the Khawarij. They had a connection with the Khawarij. Who were they? And who was the one that said this? Okay? Don't worry about it. We're going to present it later. See on screen, we've got Fathul Bari. This is volume 24. I've got it, in a different way. I've got volume 16 here. But there's no point presenting it because I've got the PDF in front of me. So it mentions the Hadith of Abi Sa'id al-Khudri. And then it states, يَمْرِقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرِقُ السَّحْمُ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. Same. Just to make a brief point, Ibn Hajar mentions a statement from Ibn Battal describing the Khawarij. Okay? Describing who? Khawarij. So let's listen to Dawah man now mention his point. Okay?
The second thing that I mentioned, which was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept their tawbah, right? What does this mean? They want a narration that backs this up. Again, I'll bring you a narration from the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari and the Sahih of Imam Muslim, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talked about the people of innovation, he said, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهَمْ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the people of innovation, they leave through the religion the way that the arrow goes to the bow. Pay attention. If you fire a bow through an arrow, so you fire an arrow for a bow, what happens to that arrow? What happens?
It goes through the air. What do you mean?
And it doesn't come back. Yes or no?
No, it doesn't come back.
Does it come back by itself?
No.
No. The Prophet ﷺ said, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ. They go through the religion, كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهَمْ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ ثُمَّ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ إِلَيْهِ حَتَّى يَرْجِعُ السَّهَمْ عَلَى فَوْقِهِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, or كما قال, that they go through the religion the way that arrow goes to the bow, and they will not come back to the religion. Look what the Prophet said.
So there you go. So basically, Dawah made it general. So the people of innovation, he did not make it specific, because this hadith, anyone that studied knows that this hadith was referring to the Khawarij. Okay? Was referring to who? The Khawarij. Now, as I mentioned before, as you can see on screen, I mentioned the video that I recorded. Now, this comment that you heard from Dawah was in response to my video.
Allah Azza wa Jal has made a barrier between this person and Tawbah. And kulli sahibi bid'atin. For every single person who does bid'ah, Allah has made a barrier, a blockage between him and Tawbah. He will not make repentance. He will not make Tawbah. حَتَّى يَدَعَ بِدْعَتَهُ. Until he leaves off his innovation. So a person who engages in bid'ah will not make Tawbah.
Now, as you heard Dawah present the hadith, now just to add as well, it's a 10-minute video and he makes numerous mistakes. Major mistakes as well. Subhanallah al-Azim. And yeah, I'm going to address the Salafis later that ignore, these mistakes and these errors, major errors, but they pick on everyone else. Shows the hizb. But I'll address you guys later. So he mentions that the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places a barrier of tawbah from the sahib al-bid'ah until he returns, until he leaves after bid'ah. Okay, that's what Dawah mentioned. We'll get to the other hadith he brings later. Okay, we'll get to the other hadith he brings later, but that's the first one he brings. Now, remember, he's trying to sell a course to you. Okay, so what he's doing, and again, just to another point as well, Dawah, we know it's not you who's carried out this research. Because of your knowledge college, is someone that's carrying this research out for you. You're not that smart. With all due respect, you're not that smart. So it's someone else that's carrying this out. Now, I think I know who it is, by the way. So it shows, and I'm not talking to you. Again, I think I know who it is, but whoever it may be, I'm going to talk to you now. Why is it that you're so deceptive? Why is it that you're so disingenuous? Okay? And after now, I'm going to present the authenticity of this report from grand scholars, okay? And even a contemporary scholar as well, okay? It just shows this, isn't it, mate? Let's over-dramatize this course. So let's now present the authenticity of this report. He mentions other ahadith as well, and we'll get to that as well. And even an explanation of a hadith, which he cuts as well. SubhanAllah, in 10 minutes. Dawah man, in 10 minutes, mate, you make numerous blunders. But let's start with the first one. As you can see on screen, we got the book, Mizan al-I'tidal, okay, by Imam al-Dahabi, okay. Now, under 9175, he brings a narrator by the name of Harun bin Musa al-Farwi. Okay? And he mentions Shaykh al-Saduq min Shuyuk al-Nasa'i. He is from the Shaykhs, trustworthy, from the teachers of al-Nasa'i. And then he presents the hadith. Okay? He presents the hadith which Dawah man presented. Okay? Which Dawah man presented, as you can see. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cover the tawbah of the person of bid'ah, okay, or the sahib al-bid'ah. And what does Imam al-Dahabi say? Hada munkar. Hada munkar. Okay? So, there you go, Dawah man. And again, we're going to show you, we're going to bring all the other aqwal as well to sort of present that if you were sincere, you would have made mention that there's kalam on this hadith. There is issues with this hadith, but you didn't mention that. You were presenting it as it's authentic. And to the script writer as well. You knew what you were doing, mate. You knew what you were doing.
And whose understanding is this? It's not mine. It's how the Salaf understood it. They use this narration. Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani rahimahullah ta'ala was approached by a man. He said, رجع عمر ibn Ubayd min qawlihi an ra'yihi. Amr ibn Ubayd was one of the heads of the Mu'tazila. A man came to him and he said, he came back from his view. As in, Amr ibn Ubayd repented. And Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, Imam min A'immat al-Tabi'een, who is a student of the Sahaba, he said, La yarji'. He said, he didn't make tawbah. He said, he made tawbah. He said, he didn't make tawbah. He said, he didn't make tawbah. Then 3 times, Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani said, Wallahi, la yarji'. Lam yarji'. Wallahi lam yarji'. Wallahi lam yarji'. 3 times he said, I swear by Allah, he didn't come back. He didn't come back. He didn't come back. Yeah, Amr ibn Ubayd, he didn't go and research what the guy said. He didn't investigate. Oh, did he make tawbah? No, he's just telling him, no, I don't even want to hear it. He didn't make tawbah. And then he says, did you not hear the hadith? And then he mentioned this hadith. Meaning that Ahl Bidah, the arrow, what does it do? It just advances. It gets further and further away from the bow. So a person of Bidah, if he does change his view, he goes where? Further and further away. This is a dhabit, underline this for the brothers and sisters, yeah? People of bid'ah, they always get worse and worse as time goes on. As time goes on, they get worse and worse and worse. The innovation gets worse and worse and worse, and they get more and more corrupted. So he's saying, if you're telling me he changed his view, he changed it to a view which is worse. He didn't come back. Does that make sense? And these were the narrations that the Salaf used to use to say, Tawbah is what? Tawbah doesn't come from a person of innovation.
What I'm going to show you is that this man is so deceptive that what he presents is just what's scripted to him. And obviously Bill Gates is just slapping her up like. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he said, يَمْرِقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرِقُ صَحْمُ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ, it was referring to the Al-Khawarij. But you could argue, Amr bin Ubayd wasn't from the Khawarij, he was from the Mu'tazila, right? But did he carry the views of the Khawarij? Did he carry the views? So if we take Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani's statement, which we don't treat as revelation, but just say we accept it for the sake of argument. It's not that I don't accept it. What I'm saying is that was his understanding, okay? But you can't say that this was the Salaf's understanding because you only got one Imam. And we don't treat his statements like revelation, right? We don't treat his statements like revelation. So, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah would explain the creed of the Mu'tazila. And where they had a connection to the Khawarij, he didn't tell you this. So Amr bin Ubayd was from the Mu'tazila, the heads of the Mu'tazila, okay? And I'll read it out to you as well. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayh goes into it. So this man doesn't know what he's reading. He just gets past it and he reads it. Doesn't present any context, doesn't present any details. He just regurgitates it like a parrot, okay? So let's go into it now. As you can see on screen, we've got Majmu' al-Fatawa. And this is compiled, and obviously these are the Fatawa by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. If you're interested, this is volume 7, page 484. Okay, so whoever's interested. Ibn Taymiyyah in the pages before mentions about the Khawarij, and he mentions, now he's continuing, he says, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أحاديث فيهم وبينوا ما في القرآن من رد عليهم وظهرت بدعتهم في العامة. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم have a hadith about them, meaning al-Khawarij, and clarified what's in the Quran in refuting what they emerged with their bid'ah in public. Okay? Then he mentions, he says, with the arrows over, he says, فَجَاءَتْ بَعْدُهُمْ الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ. Then after them came the Mu'tazila. Because if you know, the Khawarij came earlier. They came in the time of the companions. The Mu'tazila came after. الَّذِينَ اعْتَزَلُوا الْجَمَاعَةَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِ الْحَسَنِ الْبَصْرِ وَهُمْ عَمْرُ بِنْ عُبَيْدٍ. So there you go. He mentions that they sort of separated from the Jama'ah after the death of Hasan al-Basri, rahmatullah alayh. And who were they? Amr bin Ubayd, the man that the Aman mentioned. And Wasil bin Ata al-Ghazal. Okay, so we got Amr bin Ubayd and Wasil bin Ata. Okay, وَأَتَّبَاعُهُمَا, and those who followed them too. So they were the heads, okay? فَقَالُوا, they said, so who said? The Mu'tazila, the heads were Amr bin Ubayd and Wasil bin Ata. And they said, أَهْلُ الْكَبَائِرِ مُخَلِّدُونَ فِي النَّارِ, the people who commit major sins will be in the hellfire forever. Okay, who else said this? And what does he say with the arrows over? كَمَا قَالَتْ الْخَوَارِجِ, as the Khawarij said. So the Mu'tazila and the Khawarij were in agreement with this, that whoever commits a major sin will be in the hellfire forever. And then he further goes and said, they did not describe them as believers, but they didn't describe them as kuffar as well. And they were between the two stations. That's what the Mu'tazila had. Bain al-manzilatayn. They had, so you're not a kafir, you're not a believer, you're between the two stations. Okay? But you'll be in the hellfire forever. That's what the beliefs that they had. Taymiyyah mentioned when he said after them came the Mu'tazila, and they separated from the Jama'ah after the death of Hassan al-Basri, and from them was Amr bin Ubayd and Wasil bin Ata, and they said, and their followers, and they said, what did they say? That the people who commit major sins would مُخَلِّدُونَ فِي النَّارِ, they will enter the hellfire forever. And Ibn Taymiyyah said, كَمَا قَالَتَ الْخَوَارِجِ, as the Khawarij said. So it's connected. Ibn Ubayd, Ibn Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani had that view, fair enough, he did. Okay? You can see the connection now. Because Wasil bin Ata carried the beliefs of the Khawarij. And it's clear that he did not know this. He just lumped all of Ahlul Bid'ah together because it sounded good to him. And he probably took that athar from one of his teachers. No context. As you know, these pseudo-Salafis have been exposing for 2.5, 3 years. And they don't present any nuances. It's just, they got this bid'ah-centric methodology. They have swapped the forefather of ours, Muhammad bin Abdullah, was a takfiri bandit who had sort of harshness and extremism in takfir, not tabdi', and they've just now substituted it with tabdi'. I say tabdi' is a cousin of takfir, because the 6 rights of the Muslims disappears. Okay, one believes your blood is lawful, and the other doesn't to a certain extent. But look at the Madakhila in Libya. Look what they've been doing, raising havoc. So, it's got the potential to be violent even with tabdi'. I swear to you, just look at Libya. Ask the Libyans about these guys. I've presented evidences. You do not have the ability, the fortitude to understand these texts. You're just a regurgitating parrot, mate. And now we've had enough. Your Badr Club was a disaster. You got caught. Your finances were slacking. You were taking money. You want people to pay £313 in this climate. Operation 6 figures when you don't have 6 figures yourself. And on top of that, you're in debt. And you had to change it because the heat was on you. And you changed it to the Brothers Club, but still charging X amount of money. You did it with the Bid'ah course, which I exposed you. You try to cover or try to defend yourself, and you got exposed again. Subhanallah al-Azim, when is this going to stop? When are you going to stop, mate? So where are those students of knowledge, right, that give him legitimacy, be on his channel, part of his courses? Why is it that none of them come out and let the public know that this is incorrect? Alright, I don't care whether you do it privately. To be honest, I don't care. Shall I tell you why? Because when these mistakes are open and he's speaking in the name of Islam, you have the Shari'i right to refute him openly. Why don't you do it? Why? Is there some monetary gain that you're getting out of him? To be honest, if it is, alright, fine. Okay? Then it's all about this. It's all about the Benjamins then, isn't it? I've had enough, honestly. And I said, I'm not going to stop. When I say I have had enough, what I mean I've had enough is that I'm desensitized to their BS. And they're going to get caught. I've got more Dawah, man. I've got more. And I pulled back. This was over a year ago I had this. And I pulled back because you said, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back. And, I'm going to study. I'm not going to do Dawah. I'm not going to teach. I'm going to stay away. But then, obviously, mysteriously, the Badr Club came out. And you were trying to extort £313. And you got found out. You got caught. You got caught slacking. Your finances got caught slacking. Company's house. Huh? Caught ya. Not me, but the brothers behind the scene. And yeah, you still never retracted. And then you said, oh, I put my own money into it. Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you're in debt. You're in debt, son. Okay? 6 figures. Never heard a person who's going to teach you how to make 6 figures but he's in debt himself. Great. Alright, fair enough, mate. You got a good model. Anyway, so there you go. And more videos, mate. I've had them kept away, but I got busy with other things. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and all of these things came to the forefront. Imam Bukhari and the Imams of the Salaf. We're focusing on that for a bit. And then we're going to move on to something special in the near future, and you'll enjoy it, inshallah. So take care of yourself. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن. إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن. سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني، وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني. ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني، وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني. تمر ساعة